Welcome back. I'm Brenda Roncarati, and this is Your Town Radio and Television program. We've had a wonderful first two guests, and I'm excited that we get to end it with someone that I find fascinating. Mark Areias, the jeweler from Mark Areias Jewelers. You're probably very familiar with them on the peninsula. They've got a beautiful store in Carmel. And unfortunately, I don't think he brought me a hostess gift today, although that would have been a very lovely thought, Mark. Welcome, and maybe start out by telling us a little bit about your background. You just have one in there.
A little something.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley. I'm a third-generation Californian, and grew up on a dairy farm, actually. And my parents and my grandparents were dairy farmers, and found a way to get out of the dairy business, and now I'm in the jewelry business.
What area? Was that Tulare?
Los Banos.
Los Banos, yeah.
Merced County.
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm familiar.
Yeah. My dad was one of 9, and they all stayed in the dairy business, and a lot of cousins in that business still.
It's quite a leap from the dairy business to the jewelry business. How'd you make that happen?
Yeah, I get a lot of kidding about that in the industry. You know, people find it fascinating.
And I haven't seen any brooches in the shape of cows in your window at all.
I have done a few. Actually, I have done a few. They're a big hit with the dairy farmers.
Well, how'd you get started in jewelry?
Well, I developed an interest for the jewelry business when I was still in high school. I got fascinated with gemstones and the nature of natural gemstones when I was still in high school. And I just had people along the way in high school. I had a jewelry teacher, a ceramics teacher, jewelry teacher, art teacher that helped me along. And I took an adult education class while I was still in high school. Had to drive about 45 minutes to go to that class. And it was just a bunch of retired rock hounds that were just inspired by their hobby and their love for the trade and the craft. Really, you know, they were hobbyists. But I took to that, and I really appreciated that they had a great love for something. Even they were retired, and it wasn't for profit or for business or anything. It was just a passion that they had, and it kind of spilled over to me. And you know, in high school, you're kind of formidable, and you're looking for something to do and to get into, and one thing led to another. I met a retired Air Force colonel that was a gemologist and a gem cutter, and he kind of took me under his wing. And you know, one thing led to another. The jewelry business looked a lot better than the dairy business. And,
a little cleaner.
Yeah, and I got an opportunity here in Carmel Valley to come over and serve an apprenticeship. And
so did you have any formal training? Is there formal training for jewelers, or is it more kind of learned through apprenticeship as you were describing?
Well, kind of the old way of learning the jewelry business was through family, and you were born into it, and you inherited it, and you did what your family did. And most people that I meet, they're surprised that I've gone as far as I have, and I wasn't part of my family business. People are often surprised when they understand that it's not a family business. But I found this man that was offering apprenticeships, and it was a very unique situation, and it's gone now. And in fact, he passed away just recently, and I just learned about it today. Actually, it was really sad to learn that he passed away. It was a 6-year apprenticeship, and I served it out in Carmel Valley, out in the village. And here I came from Los Banos, ended up in Carmel Valley. I'd never been there in my life, and this was a great place, and this is a great thing. And so I worked very hard to make it work, and it came together. I went back and told my father that I was going to serve an apprenticeship in jewelry making. It was going to take 6 years.
Did you surprise him? Was he a little taken aback?
Yeah, he didn't quite understand it. And I remember he said, well, at the end of 6 years, what will you be? Will you be a journeyman, or what's the credential or the diploma that you get? And I said, gee, that's a good question. I called the man back that was going to train me, and I asked him, what would I be at the end of 6 years? And he said, a good beginner.
It's just start that road.
So that's where it started with the apprenticeship. But there were 26 goldsmiths from around the world in our factory, and
wow.
I was exposed to some very interesting people that are still friends today. And it was a very exciting time in my career.
Have you got to take that opportunity that you had being trained by a goldsmith and train any other up-and-coming future goldsmiths or jewelers?
If there was a, I wasn't paid for the first couple of years of the apprenticeship, but if there was a charge for the apprenticeship, as the master had told me, he said that it was that you train someone else. I mean, that was his wish. That if I'm going to train you, all I ask from you is that you pass it on and train it to someone else. And I suppose that's a form of, kind of keeping your spirit alive or passing it on to someone else. And so yeah, I kept the apprenticeship alive, and I've trained a number of young people, men and women, that have come into the program. But it's not such an easy thing to get somebody to make that long of a commitment to work at something that long. Instant gratification is a lot more popular these days, and college is a lot more fun than an apprenticeship, probably.
Well, and I love the way you describe this. It sounds very old school and very traditional, and kind of a throwback to some of the arts that you don't see so much. Has technology impacted the jewelry industry like it's impacted other industries?
It has somewhat, but not a lot. I mean, the tools that we use and the techniques that we use are really still from the old times. There's some technology coming in now with the designing and the CAD designing and computer-driven, but it's still not the same as the handmade jewelry and the way we make things by hand. But there's a lot of technology that's changing things, but there's still that one-on-one contact. And I suppose it's just like if you go to the dentist and he has all this modern technology. The jewelry industry hasn't gone that far with it. It's still sort of primarily done by individuals that sit down and make jewelry and put it together. There's a lot of mass-produced jewelry that factories and it's produced by people doing numerous operations and not one person really making a piece of jewelry. But we make it the old-fashioned way. One person makes one ring or one piece of jewelry, and he works on it himself, and it isn't broken into parts and passed around and done in production methods like a lot of jewelry is made today.
Well, and I think